Everything's in place and they've taken the bait. Yes. Now to start reeling them in.
Hey, little birdie, don't feel down. Come and perch on my shoulder. Really? No wonder they never pay attention to me. Forget it. I probably shouldn't be anthropomorphizing them anyway. Haven't seen you in some time. To which one of the Animo Archon's winds do I owe the honor? Oh, is this your way of saying that you missed me? Since it wasn't meant to be with this little birdie, I'd better leave it alone. Let's take a walk, shall we? If you're wondering why I'm here, Jean's been worrying about trade safety recently. I discovered this when I unwittingly burst into her office to save the day. Another job involving long-distance travel falls to me. I suppose it's my own fault for having such a strong sense of duty. Still, on the bright side, business is now taken care of. And I have unused travel funds, so I was planning to...
Gundafar, we are in the middle of a war. Your place is at the front lines by my son's side. Pray tell, what provokes your unwarranted return to the palace?
A matter of utmost importance, Your Majesty. Such that I must personally report it to you.
Huh. Outdoor theater. Looks fun. Actually, yes. I saw some guards do a musical performance when I was traveling with their caravan in Sumeru. They were desert dwellers. So are these actors. And I think I actually recognize one of them. Come on, let's go watch.
That's enough work for today.
Your Majesty, not only has God bestowed the throne upon you, but your beloved son, Prince Kubad, has led our brave warriors to victory against Frasyav's army. His men have laid down their arms and fled. Frasyav's brazen ambition is no more. He has bowed his head and now presents to your Majesty an offering of treasures and hostages, as well as a plea for peace. My king, this battle has finally restored the dignity of our people. Moreover, with Frasyav's offer of land comes the opportunity to expand our borders, as your Majesty so greatly wishes. His Highness the Prince and I believe this peace settlement will be a great boon to our nation. It is for this reason alone that I have removed my armor and made haste back to our halls from the front lines. My king, what say you to this proposal?
It's the tale of Prince Kubad. Ever heard this one? Don't worry, I still remember the general plot. Let me fill you in on the background while the king deliberates. The one talking to the king right now is Gundafar, the prince's tutor. When the prince was young, the king was deceived by a malicious rumor that the prince had mistreated his stepmother. He demanded that the prince walk through a blazing fire to prove his innocence. Miraculously, the prince emerged unscathed, thus proving his innocence. But the seeds of doubt had already been sown in the king's mind. Now uneasy in the presence of his mistrustful father, the prince requested to be sent away to the battlefield where he would fight against Frasiev's army. That's the enemy general we heard them mention just now. This is the part where the prince has won the war and decided to forge a peace with the rival nation. He wrote a letter recommending peace to his father. Oh, it looks like the king's made up his mind. Let's keep watching.
To toll, they shall not cease until the blood of our enemies fills the land. There can be no victory until the last enemy soldier has fallen. If Kubad still wishes to be my son and hold the intaglio I bestowed upon him as proof of his royal blood, then he must obey my command.
Your Majesty, I must caution that a nation destroyed is not a fallen city writ large. Now, the loss of one city strikes fear into the hearts of our enemies, compelling them to accept defeat and cede land in exchange for peace. If, however, we insist on bringing a whole nation to its knees, then so long as a single person is left standing, they will see us as their sworn enemy, and one day return to us tenfold the pain that we have inflicted on their nation and family. My king, a people is to their nation as wild grass to the open prairie. Though we burn down the whole field and spare not one blade of grass, roots continue to grow unseen beneath the surface. Come the spring, it is all but inevitable that fresh green shoots will rise up from the ashes.
Cease, Gundafar. Your mind grows dull in your old age, filled with naive delusions. We shall have no more need of you on the battlefield. As for my son Kubad, I will summon him back to the capital, so he may be tried by a court-martial.
What are you saying, my noble king? Why must you mistrust your own flesh and blood, and sink ever deeper into the blight of hatred? When he was falsely accused, you once doubted his honor, and made him walk through a raging fire. Did he not prove himself worthy by emerging unharmed from the flames? Now you would turn me away, when I seek only to provide the wisdom of counsel. What is the justification for this?
The justification is that my word, not yours, is the law of the land. Cease and be gone, Gundafar, so you may spend the rest of your days with your wife.
What has become of the king that I served with my life? Fanaticism has robbed him of all reason and wisdom. Peace is surely the most favorable path for our nation, yet he refuses to accept it.
I must think of a way to seize control of the army back from the hands of my wayward son, that they might continue the fight to the end. Perhaps the first task should be this. I shall send a loyal contingent of warriors to eliminate Frasiev and the hostages he has sent to our palace.
Brilliant acting, Darbil.
I saw you approaching us in the middle of the scene. I was worried that my performance would be subpar and you'd think I was just making a fool of myself.
Not at all. Far from it. Actually, let me introduce you. This is Darbil, the actor for King Caboose. When we first got to know each other, he was still a guard for one of the merchant caravans. Seems like he's now made the switch to full-time acting.
Nice to meet you. Any friend of Kaya's is a friend of mine. To be perfectly honest, I wasn't making all that much as a mercenary. It felt right to me to get away from the danger and live a more stable life. I was already pretty good at telling stories, so I just recruited a few friends and started performing shows all over the country. Full disclosure, we had to put this little stage together using whatever wood and cloth we could borrow. It's really low budget. Anyway, we're all good enough at acting to get through the motions, but none of us are any good at coming up with a script. Everything we tried to write just sounded off somehow. So I got a student from the academia to adapt an old story I knew to make it more appealing to our audience. What do you think? Passable?
I could tell that you've had someone tighten up the lines. They turned out very nicely.
Ah, that's good. Well, as you can see, even now, we still don't have much of an audience. Don't suppose you'd be interested to see the rest of the show?
Sure, why not? I don't have anything pressing lined up. And I don't think the Traveler does either. Tickets for 2, please. How much would that be?
There's no need for tickets. You could just get some food from Jafar Tavern. We've worked out an arrangement with them. We've actually found a sponsor for this performance, too. He's not too happy about the poor turnout, though. I doubt we'll be able to keep him for the next performance. A real pity. But what can you do, huh?
Darbil Asgar still hasn't shown up for the next scene. We should get his costume and sword out so they'll be ready to go the moment he gets here.
My apologies. I have to get ready for the upcoming scene. I'll see you from the stage.
Talk to the bartender if you want a drink. Would you two like to order some food? What can I get you? If you're looking for recommendations, today's special is the tandoori roast chicken.
Bear with us a moment. We're just going to take a look at the menu. I was at Port Ormos discussing some business opportunities, and some crook was trying to pull a fast one on me. Darbil took pity on me and politely asked him to make himself scarce. He's a good guy. A decent storyteller, too. Quite an interesting character. There's a lot of fun to be had if you hang around interesting people doing interesting things. Especially if you're in the company of an interesting friend. That's my secret formula for staying in a good mood. Try it out sometime. You'll see what I mean. Thanks for waiting. We're ready to order now. We'll take you up on that tandoori roast chicken. And let's throw in some desserts, too. 1 each of the rose custard, that talumba, and the patisara pudding, please. That should see us through the show. We've got good seats, close to the stage, but also not too crowded. We can watch the show as we eat. If I remember correctly, the next scene should focus on the prince. But I won't spoil it for you. You have to experience it for yourself. You could say that. It's always stayed with me because it's hammered home a cruel but realistic truth. People do not choose where and when to be born, yet the circumstances of their birth define the choices that they will have for the rest of their life.
Here you are. The check's on the table, too. Just call me over when you're ready to settle up.
No need. I'll pay up front. Here. Keep the change.
Thank you, sir. Oh, but this is too generous.
Call it a token of my gratitude for the excellent service. The food all smells wonderful, too. So please pass my compliments to the chef.
Thank you so much, sir.
Let's dig in, traveler.
Hey, Kaya. I'm so sorry, but the actor who plays the prince has run into some difficulties and won't be able to make it. We can't do the rest of the show without him, so I'm really, really sorry, but we'll have to call the show right here.
Ooh, that would be fun. I wouldn't say no. Darbil, would you lose any income if I were to mess this up?
Not really. I mean, there's not much of an audience here anyway. I wouldn't want to take too much of your time, though.
Don't worry about that. I like to be spontaneous now and then. Spice things up a little.
Let me think. Well, you already know the story, so you just need to memorize a few lines. Ha! You know what? This might actually work. Wait, but Kubad has a specific costume he's supposed to wear, and there's no way you'd fit into it. Switching actors is one thing, but wearing street clothes on stage would really ruin the immersion. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna work.
Well, good thing that I've actually got a costume with me. It goes pretty well with your stage, too.
You're kidding. Can you show it to me?
Sure. If you can show me the way to your changing room.
It's in the restaurant. Follow me.
Gotta say, I think I actually look pretty dapper in this. It's a pity I don't have many opportunities to wear it in public. Uh-oh, not a fan of me as a prince? I'll have to act my heart out so you'll be too dazzled to make any digs.
Kaya, here's your script for the next scene. It's not too long, but you also don't have very long to prepare. Do you think you can memorize your lines in time?
Only one way to find out.
Okay, I think we've covered all your lines and movements on stage. You haven't had long to prepare, so don't worry about forgetting your lines. We'll remind you.
All right, I'm good to go.
Great. Then let's get this show on the road.
General Kubot, son of Kabus, the fate of this battle is clear. I beg you, please spare my few remaining men. They no longer have the strength to fight back.
Frasiav, though you now lead only the husk of a once mighty army, I have no desire to crush your dignity. Even your most savage warriors have no desire to see further bloodshed, and none among your ranks have opposed these peace talks. Nevertheless, I must hear it from you one final time. General Frasiav, do you agree to sign a treaty in good faith and commit from this day forth to peace between our nations?
With my army in ruins, I am in no position to do otherwise, but on this, I give you my word. Yes, let us end our hostilities and send our surviving men home to their families.
We share the desire to lay down our arms for good and liberate our hearts from the dirge of hatred. Then as God above is our witness, by the authority vested in me by this intaglio of King Kabus, I hereby declare that I will spare your hostages and what remains of your army. May peace be restored to this land, and may these fields of war become a place where crops grow aplenty. My tutor, Gundafar, has already made haste to my father, the king, with the recommendation of a truce. It is my sincere hope that he will see that peace as a path to prosperity and grant me his blessing.
Prince Kubod, your name is renowned throughout your land and ours. I will place my hope in your words.
One will find on a battlefield no master of ceremonies, nor the paper on which a treaty may be signed. In their absence, let us raise our weapons and swear an oath. I, Kubod, son of Kabus, hereby pledge protection to you and all of your kin. May the oceans be stained red with my blood if I am ever to renounce this oath.
Wow, your friend is so dreamy. He's not a real prince by any chance, is he? Hey, Rashana, you don't want to miss this. The good-looking guy who left that huge tip is acting on stage with Darbel's troupe.
Darbel's one lucky man.
I return, Your Highness. I hope I'm not too late. Bravest news. Kabus has become blinded by fanaticism and hatred, and will stop at nothing to vanquish every last man under Frasiav's lead.
How can this be? You mean to say that my father has rejected our proposal for peace?
He has indeed. I urged him to reconsider, and for this I was rebuked and dismissed from his service. But far stricter punishment than this awaits you, should you return home with your troops. Please heed my warnings, dear child. I dare not imagine what unspeakable atrocities your father intends to commit.
Nay, the truce must stand. I cannot renounce my oath. How can man claim to stand above beast without remaining true to his word? The masses have grown weary of death and conflict in both our nation and theirs. Are we all now to bend to his will and massacre countless more to satisfy a desire that is his alone? When I departed my beloved home to fight in a foreign land, I did so to honor his wishes and for my duty to our people. Alas, is this fate's grand design? Is this fate's grand design?
Kaya, the next line is, "Alas, is this fate's grand design, that I should spend the rest of my days in a foreign land, till I am laid to rest in a grave far from home?"
Must it be so?
Huh? Wait, that's not part of the script.
Kaya, did you not hear me?
My dear audience, I ask you this. Do you believe in fate? If fate decreed that your life was to end in tragedy, what would you do? Oh? Then so must it be. Yes, so must it be. I shall discard this intaglio and rid myself of the shackles of fate.
Wait, but that's not... My dear prince, do you intend to betray your father and abandon your heritage?
Fate means to send the machinations of war to every corner of the land, to fan the flames of conflict till they engulf the entire world. Fate would see my sword tainted with the blood of innocence, that the bright banner of my homeland might fly in every nation known to mankind. But I shall not bow to the will of fate. I am no pawn in heaven's plan.
Bravo! Where did this guy come from? Is he one of the new hires?
Hey, shut up. Stop interrupting.
I, Kubad, will spend the rest of my days in a foreign land till I breathe my last in a place far from home.
Oh, at least he brought it back in the end.
Prince Kubad, my child, there is no need to be rash. Please bring at least your fortune and the retainers who will always be loyal to you.
Gundafar, my dear mentor, you have always been like a father to me. It brings me only anguish to bid you farewell. But I must walk this path, or freedom dies by my hand. Goodbye, my tribe and kin. Farewell, sweet land of my birth.
Goodbye, my child.
Ooh, it's Prince Kubad. Could I please get your autograph?
Why, certainly, ma'am.
Ooh, thank you. I'll just go find a pen.
Just an autograph? Well, you can get one of those at any time. Acting is quite fun. If there ever came a day when I left the Knights of Favonius, I think I might go into acting full-time.
W, could you introduce me to this young man?
My apologies, Master Toos. I somehow missed you in the crowd earlier.
I was some distance away. I just came over near the end after I noticed the large crowd gathered around the stage. The performance was outstanding across the board. I knew that the poor turnout over the past few days was just bad luck. It was only ever a matter of time before you hit it big. The improvised section was particularly good. I think you could include some improvisation as a staple in future performances. As for the prop he threw, no need to get it back. It's fairly cheap anyway.
Thank you, sir. And a big thanks also to our wonderful prince. Had Kaya not agreed to fill in, we might have disbanded right on the spot.
Kaya, was it? Well, young man, I must say you've made quite the impression on me. My caravan is always loaded with the finest food and wines. You're welcome to visit at any time.
Thank you for the invite, sir, but I'm afraid I've reached the end of my time at Sumeru. I'm sure that my friends and family in Mondstadt must be missing me terribly.
Well then, consider it an open invitation. Once you've been bitten by the travel bug, my friend, you'll be getting itchy feet again before too long. My door is always open. If you're ever interested, please ask Darbil to reach out to me. Darbil, we can continue discussions on the sponsorship once you've wrapped up today's show. I'm going back to the inn.
Thank you so much, Master Toos. I'll see you shortly. Seriously, Kaya, thank you for bailing me out again. You're a good guy. May the gods bless you. You know, you should stay for a few more days. I owe you a meal at the very least.
Darbil, Asgar is back. He lost track of time playing Genius Invocation TCG. You've got to sort him out.
Genius Invocation again? Ah, that does it. That kid's not getting away with it this time. And please excuse me, Kaya. I will be right back.
Okay, I think they're all gone. Let's slip away now while we can. All right, this should be far enough. Don't think they'll find me here. People were starting to expect a lot of things that I didn't sign up for. Besides, the missing actor is back now. Darbil shouldn't be needing me to stand in again. I don't mind socializing, but compared to chatting over food and drink, I much prefer just going wild on the stage. What about you? Did you enjoy the show? Oh? I was expecting a lengthier critique, but you've thrown the question right back at me. Sneaky. All right, I'll rise to your challenge. Let me think. All the world's a stage, and all the people merely players. Does that answer your question? Perhaps there's an inept god out there deciding everyone's fates, much like the academia student drafting Darbil's scripts. Yeah. Inept is a good word for it. Honestly, it might even be a little too civil to describe a god who turns fathers against their sons and is bent on endless warmongering, don't you think? Anyway, that's exactly why actors need to wake up and realize they don't have to follow the script. There's nothing to stop them from following their gut and making it up as they go along. Oh, my dear traveler, please don't take me too literally. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. The god is just a figure of speech. The real point I'm making is about the actors. Everyone, you and I included, is both an actor and a member of the audience. If you don't like the script, just walk off the stage and join the audience. You always have a choice. A little too obtuse? Well, don't dwell on it. It's nothing worth losing sleep over. I was just thinking aloud. Relax. Be yourself. Do your thing. That's all I'm really trying to say. When I did my little bit of audience interaction back there, you had no time to prepare. You had to just say what you thought in the moment. I think those spontaneous thoughts are often the most authentic. And that's why I liked your answer. You're still holding on to the intaglio I threw you from the stage, right? Keep it. Think of it as a souvenir from my improvised performance. It's been the most fascinating day, hasn't it, little birdie?
Gundafar, we are in the middle of a war. Your place is at the front lines by my son's side. Pray tell, what provokes your unwarranted return to the palace?
A matter of utmost importance, Your Majesty, such that I must personally report it to you.
Huh. Outdoor theater. Looks fun. Ah, yes. Here's what I was thinking about the unused funds. Given that the acting Grand Masters saw fit to allocate these funds to my trip in the first place, I think it's my responsibility to make sure that every last mora is put to good use. In other words, what do you say we find a way to spend the remaining budget? Perhaps a fancy meal at a nice restaurant? Or a river cruise that takes in the sights of Sumeru City? Or we could buy a few nice mementos to take home. Hey, no need to put it like that. Let's keep walking. We can consider it some more on the road. The rules of the Knights of Favonius state that any and all expenditures during a business trip are counted as travel expenses. That's more than enough justification to live a little. Of course, with me being here on my own, it was looking like a wasted opportunity. But now that I've run into you, why don't we make this a joint trip? You're always so busy. It's high time you gave yourself a proper break. Even the sharpest blade loses its edge if it's always in use. Regular maintenance is essential for reliable performance. And anyway, life is short, so we should make the most of the time we have. Right now is the perfect time to relax and enjoy ourselves. And who knows how many other chances we'll get. So come on, what do you say? Great. Music to my ears. I'll cover the travel costs, of course. There's nothing more enjoyable than the company of a good friend. Let's call this a nice little excursion to round off my long business trip. Now, let me think where we should go. I've seen a lot of Sumeru already, so let's go for someplace new. How about Liyue? I'd be heading past there on my way back to Mondstadt anyway, so it's not out of the way. Well, lucky me. I'll hold you to that. Liyue's Ministry of Civil Affairs frequently corresponds with the Knights of Favonius, so the address on their letterhead is one of the few places I'm familiar with. I don't have much luggage, so it won't take me long to pack. Give me a moment, and then we'll head there together.
What you see is what you get. Feel free to look around.
I've heard that there's lots to see and do in Liyue, but I'm sure you're more familiar with the place than I am, so I'll leave the itinerary to you. Excellent. Well, hopefully I'll get to know some of these friends for myself. It's such a satisfying feeling to just drop everything, go on a long trip, and see something new. Who knows who we might cross paths with? We might even end up going on an impromptu adventure. Just like how I met you in Port Omos, and now we're here. Come on, let's see what's up ahead. Do you know this shop? It looks pretty nice from the outside. Shall we take a look?
Welcome to Mingxing Jewelry. We are a long-established trader of precious stones. Is there anything in particular you're looking for?
Let me see. Ah, some nice jewelry you've got here. Maybe I can grab something with a local flavor as a souvenir. What do you think, traveler? See anything that suits my style? I trust your judgment.
Ah, you're interested in souvenirs. If you're struggling to decide, you might want to consider getting some jade. You can't go wrong with a nice jade pendant. They're an elegant addition to your look, whatever your age or gender. If you're looking for a specific design, we can make it to your specifications. It does take some time to fulfill an order, however. High-quality jade is hard to come by, so our waiting list is at least a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's a pity. I'm just visiting and I won't be in town for very long. So as much as it pains me to do so, I'm afraid I'll have to leave this beautiful bijou behind.
No worries at all, sir. If you're looking for something off the shelf, why not go and see Mr. Shurto at the Jade Mystery? He also deals in jade and precious stones. Exactly. But on that note, let me give you a word of advice. There's no risk in purchasing a piece of jade that's already been cut. But you could lose all of your mora betting on uncut rocks. I won't say any more, as I don't want my fellow vendors to think I'm bad-mouthing them. But I think you catch my drift. It's only human nature to spend a little when you're on a trip. But don't be too hasty to part with your cash. The Ministry of Civil Affairs takes everyone's economic well-being very seriously, and they often send out the Millilith to spread public awareness of well-known scams. As guests here, I'd encourage you to watch out for anyone trying to rip you off.
I think that's sound advice wherever you go into that.
Welcome! Looking for uncut stones or pre-cut jade? We've got plenty of both for your viewing pleasure.
Uncut stones. Ah, yes, we were just briefed on that.
I believe I detect a quiet but distinct tone of apprehension in your words. Please rest assured, there's nothing to be quite so wary about with my business. Feel free to peruse at your leisure. I think you'll find that everything I do here is entirely above board and legitimate, and I sell only pure and unadulterated goods. No scam guaranteed. Sure, you can bet on jade and lose if you're unlucky, but that doesn't make it a scam. My terms are clear and transparent, and I only do business with willing customers. What scammer can claim that?
Sounds perfectly reasonable. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much the vendor is charging. If the customer decides to hand over their money, they're taking the bait of their own free will.
Yes, exactly. I'm glad you understand. Although your peculiar phrasing at the end there, you almost make it sound as if I really am scamming people. Anyway, betting on jade is what it is. Feel free to try your luck, but if you can't afford to lose, then it's not for you. We don't need to cause each other any trouble. I'll leave you to browse at your own pace now while I deal with other potential customers.
Amber-colored jade would probably make for a good souvenir. Why not? This is a quirky little place. Somehow, I'm inclined to entertain him for a bit. Well, if you're not interested, then I guess we'll pass.
Ahoy there, Captain! Fancy seeing you back in town. Struck any gold lately?
What, a poor sailor like me? You must be joking. I barely managed to make ends meet. What about you, Shurto? Still scamming people with your pile of rocks?
Hey! Keep your voice down. Can't you see I've got customers? But more to the point, when have you ever seen a customer get scammed in my store?
I mean, you want the full list? Or... Hold up. Is that... Captain Kaya! What, brings you to Liyue?
Oh, just taking a short trip with my friend. It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a good while, hasn't it?
Anywhere you'd recommend I visit while I'm here?
Let me think. Wanmin Restaurant's always a pretty good bet. Chef Mao's daughter is a skilled chef, and their prices are very reasonable. My wife can't get enough of their boiled fish. You could give that a try. And, speaking of my wife, she won't let me forget what a great help you've been to us before. So thank you, on her behalf.
Your wife? Ah, yes. How is she doing these days? Keeping well?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Anyway, I've got something I need to do down at the South Wharf, so my apologies, Captain Kaya, but I'd better get going.
All right. See you. Ah, I finally remembered who that was. Captain Wu. He runs a transport business between Mondstadt and Liyue.
I see. So you went through that whole conversation with no idea who you were talking to. Well, that explains the generic pleasantries and the general awkwardness. Old Wu's usually quite the chatterbox, so it's very unusual for him to just take off mid-conversation. How exactly do you two know each other anyway?
An educated guess. Yes, you could put it like that. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. The captain was making a delivery to Mondstadt when his ship sprang a leak. He overexerted himself fixing it and keeping the cargo dry, and ended up passing out from exhaustion. I took him to Mondstadt to recover.
Well, it still seems strange to me. Sure, he's hardly the most charming conversationalist, and he's also mighty stubborn, but all of us know Old Wu is an honest and kind-hearted man. His eldest was once playing on that big rock over there when he took a tumble and injured himself. I helped to patch the kid up, and the next day, Old Wu was here to buy a couple of uncut stones. I'm just surprised he was so quick to excuse himself, that's all. Normally, he's the kind of guy who, if you run into him on the street and he owes you a favor, he'll grab you by the hand and thank you profusely until you ask him to stop.
Well, stubborn, I can believe. Someone had drilled a gaping hole in his ship, and the water was coming in fast. How he managed to make it all the way to Mondstadt, not to mention with his cargo intact, I have no idea.
Someone drilled a hole in his ship? Oh dear. There must have been one of the less savory captains out there trying to sabotage his business, so they can squeeze their way into the market. When competition is stiff, sometimes things get ugly. It's the way of the world, unfortunately. His line of work isn't easy. The poor fellow usually has to set sail before the break of dawn. He's been loitering around a lot these past few weeks, though. I thought maybe he'd come into some Mora. Competition is fierce these days, and there's not a lot of Mora to be made in shipping. So every day he stays idle is another negative in the books. I do wonder what's gotten into him. Anyway, I digress. We merchants protect our goods like our own lives, so who knows? Maybe he had some important cargo to see to. Either way, good sir, don't mind him.
I am an upstanding member of the Knights of Favonius, after all. Just look me in the eyes. Don't you find me trustworthy?
Since you asked about recommendations earlier, you're here from Mondstadt, yes? Might I suggest the tea house is somewhere to rest your legs? If memory serves, they're just about to retell the tale of Bravebeard the Valiant from the top. Why not pay them a visit?
Huh. Sounds interesting enough. Let's check it out.